analyze what's going on there with the heating element, obviously it's getting hot because it's being filled with energy. It's vibrating extra fast. That's why it's changing color. Now, what's also happening is that it changes color because it's heating up, and if it heats up, it's expanding. Now, it doesn't expand a lot, but the fact that the energy is moving through it, that matter is pushed out. It has expanded, right? Same thing happens with if you connect a battery to anything. When electricity flows through those wires, it expands even just a fraction of an amount. So that expansion happens. Now, what happens is that when that expansion happens, it's pushing the air out of the way. Even though this is tiny and below our range of perception, it's still happening. So when the heating element heats up, it's pushing air away from it constantly because the matter has expanded. Now, anytime mass is accelerated, it produces gravitational waves, right? Anytime mass is accelerated, it produces gravitational waves, which means it's going to change things in its environment. In this particular instance, the temperature rises, and anything placed on it that energy is going to transfer to it. You're going to cook the food. This is how we do things in this modern world. So gravitational waves, they're very thin, they're very subtle. Now, as they expand infinitely, right? They expand infinitely out to the edge of Akasha. It doesn't stop. So when we have electronic devices or anything that's going on, the waves that are being produced, they're very thin, they're very fine, very subtle, but they're being pushed all the way to the edge of the universe consistently. Just like with Kether on the Tree of Life pushing down to Mount Kuth and back up, these waves are constantly going, consistently. This is how reality is created. Just like how Shiva, the concept of Shiva, when it interacts with Shakti, when Purusha interacts with Prakriti, when consciousness interacts with matter, it causes the change. That subtle gravitational pull has a chain reaction that makes everything else around it change and vibrate and dance. So that sattvic harmony is now upset. Now we have rajas and tamas, right? You see, this is starting to make sense. We're connecting it to the Vedic now. So when consciousness is introduced to matter, it stimulates matter. It causes a chain reaction, this gravitational pull, right? This frequency, this vibration that makes a sound. In the book Sound Ke Darshan by Swami Niranjan Ananda Saraswati, he talks about how there's a cosmic sound when consciousness meets matter, when Purusha meets Prakriti, when Shiva meets Shakti, there's a cosmic sound. Right? There's a cosmic sound that happens that echoes throughout eternity. And that's what makes the reality that we exist in. Now, they call that sound nada, but it's not just a sound that you hear. Like I said, it's all frequencies, all of them. Now, we've got an instrument that can only tune into a certain set of those frequencies. This is where we have our physical life. But gravitational waves, they expand infinitely throughout Akasha. They're weak, but they still exist, all right? And what happens is the air moves, and it's not just the air that's moving. There's the prana behind the air that's moving. The prana is literally what we've been talking about as far as energy when we talk about spiritual stuff. That was called prana in the old days. So there's prana that's riding along with the air. That's the energy that's coming down from the sun. Illusionist says it can even be seen time to time if you're sensitive like me. Exactly. If you're finely tuned, you can start to perceive some of these subtle vibrations. Now, most people are dense, literally. They're dense and they're dull, so they're not going to perceive a lot of these. But those of us, some of us are born with the ability to perceive some of these sensitive frequencies, and some of us do the work to gradually tune ourselves to pick up these frequencies. But anybody can do it. It's not impossible. That's why I've been recommending a lot of these rituals and meditations and practices, because they go through the process of tuning you into these higher, subtle frequencies. And that's what my course is all about, the Inner Light Activation System. We're going to do it like it hasn't been done in a very long time, but I'll let the students talk about it. I've said enough. All right, so even our smallest insignificant actions are broadcast infinitely and absolutely will influence someone and something, regardless if they are aware of it or they care. So every single living instance of your being has an effect on your environment, and it will definitely affect something and someone eventually, if not right away.